Hey, what's up, guys? It's me, Vic, aka Adventure Vic, and I'm back, guys. I know it's been a while. Does the camera still love me? Did it ever love me? Anyways, guys, I'm back with a new series that I'll be doing every week, and pretty much I'll be doing mukbang, but having different conversations about different things, different topics, anywhere from funny stories to scary stories to conspiracy theories to, I don't know, murder mysteries. Who knows? I just want to have a open forum to talk about whatever I want to and eat. So every week I'll be highlighting a different restaurant, mostly local. So I'm really excited about this. So, anyways, I'm excited to eat. I'm excited to talk about it. Today, we're talking about the missing 411. If you have not heard about this, guys, it's crazy. So, let's start. Roll the credits. All right, guys. So, what's up? I'm here with my food. I'm so hungry. I haven't eaten all day, and we are for those of there you go. For my Mexican family out there, because I am Mexican. We will be eating tacos tapatios. You can see that right there. It looks great. And what it is basically is little corn tortillas wrapped together. It has either beef or chicken. I think this is beef. And it covered with cabbage, some cream, like sour creamish, and some tomatoes. And a drink, I'm gonna have this is called aguas frescas, and this is cantaloupe flavor. It's pretty much just it's real fruit, but it's a sweet drink. And some people might not like to eat it with their food. I do. I think it's great. Like I said, it is on the sweeter side. It does have a lot of
Diabetes.
just kidding. No, it's not that sweet, but it's really good. It's really refreshing. There's different flavors. There's watermelon. There's cucumber. There's coconut and everything. So this is cantaloupe, and it's so good. Oh my gosh, so good. So, anyways. So, guys, today we'll be talking about the missing 411. But before we go into this, guys, it's kind of crazy. So let's eat this. That's amazing. Crispy meat inside. Cover with that cream. Let me take a bite of the jalapeno. Oh yeah, oh that's good. Hey, let me show you this, guys. It may not look that appetizing from there, can you tell? But yeah. There's the meat inside of there. And it's not all crunchy because the cream kind of like softens it up a little bit, but I like the crunchy. But anyways, so guys, today we're talking about the missing 401. For those of you that don't know about it, guys, I thought everyone knew about it, but apparently not. It's kind of popping up on TikTok again, and it kind of covers a bunch of people that have pretty much gone missing in national parks, national forest. Now I know you're saying like, okay, they're in a forest, they're probably hiking, and they probably fall over, fall in a hole, a cave, maybe get attacked by an animal. Yes, that does happen, and that may happen to some of these people. But then, like I said, there's a whole group of people that vanish under really weird circumstances, and that's where David Paulides comes in. The way I found about it, the way I found out about it was one night, like maybe everyone else. I couldn't sleep, and then I get stuck in this like YouTube cycle, and I fall into this YouTube rabbit hole with conspiracies and scary stuff. And by the time I know it, it's 4 in the morning, pitch black, and I'm freaking out at every single noise I hear in my house.
Today. What is that?
So that's where it started, and I started learning about these people that they're disappearing in, like I said, in the forest, national forest, and it was brought to light. And that phenomenon was actually coined. That I think that term of missing 411 was actually coined by David Paulides. I'll leave all his information in the description in case you want to learn more about it because it's really crazy. So David Paulides is an investigator who kind of like brought all this information kind of forward and made it popular. The way he he found out about it was one day he was doing some work in the national forest, and he was approached by two park rangers. And the park rangers were like, "Hey, man, we know you investigate stuff, and there has been a series of missing people that is just really weird, and they disappear like in like really well traveled places, really, not in the far backwoods, like where there's a lot of people where it's hard to get lost. Then there's like an investigation for 7 to 10 days, and then all of a sudden, nothing. So it really bothered them. So then they try to go to the national park to try to get some information, and they couldn't. It's like they disappeared. We can get no information on the missing people. Any follow up, no reports. It was really weird. I got something stuck in my throat. Excuse me, sorry. So David Paulides reached out to a bunch of his contacts within law enforcement. He asked them if they knew anything about these missing people. They were like, actually, let me find out. They looked and like, yeah, there's a lot of missing people, but there's not a lot of information on there. So he himself went to the national park and the National Parks Organization, something like that, that should have that should have records of all this. So he was blocked. He tried to get information. They gave him the runaround. They charged him money, and then at the end of the day, you find out that there's absolutely no database to any to any missing persons. Now, super weird because excuse me. It's super weird because I mean, in a national forest government, you would think that they would have a registry of all these missing people, but they didn't. There was no database or anything that they could give him access to. So that just shot up red flags for him, and it was just really negligent on part of the National Forest Association or whatever it's called. I have to remember what it's called. I don't know what it's called. But anyways, that prompted him to launch his own investigations, and which led to a series of books called The Missing 411. That's the main title, and there's a bunch of different books. I think there's 4. It's a whole series. There's a bunch of them. I'll leave all that information down in the description in case you want to read more about it. Now, he started seeing that there was these clusters of disappearances that were happening. Most of them were happening in Yosemite. Now, I've never been to Yosemite, guys, nor do I plan to, especially after what I found out about the missing 411, because it kind of freaks me out. So I have my little notes here, because he put together kind of like this theory, right? He calls it the cluster theory, and in that cluster, there's certain parameters that a missing person case has to meet in order to fall into this whole 411 phenomenon. Now, a bunch of people that go missing, unfortunately, they're found dead, or they're not found at all. And sometimes, they are found, but with no memory of where they were at. To actually be considered a 411 case, there has to be kind of 7 different things. Number 1, which is really weird, a severe weather event happens during or soon after the disappearance. So someone goes missing, and there's this huge like snowstorm or a rainstorm or something like that stops people from actually being able to do a proper search right away. Number 2, most of those happen in the late afternoon. Number 3, the bodies are found in previously searched places. So basically, when they're found, either dead or alive, like they'll look through a certain patch like 10, 20 times, and then on their way back, they'll find the person there after they look through that place thoroughly. They're right in like the middle of the path, obvious place where they wouldn't have missed them before. The next thing they have, there's clothing that's often missing. So they're probably, most of the time, it's boots or shoes. Sometimes instead of finding the people, they find the clothes neatly folded in somewhere, which is really weird. And the people that go missing are either disabled or have a high intellect or have some sort of illness like diabetes, or really weird is a lot of the people that go missing have like German ancestry, or they have German origins or German blood or something of that nature. Another thing to do is the cadaver dogs, or the dogs that go sniff for the missing people, they can't find a scent. They'll start smelling and they'll stop suddenly, and they won't go any further. So he says whether they get scared or they lose a scent, they just stop. They just stop working. And number 7, which falls under the weird spectrum of it, is there's always granite rock. It's often around the area. So granite rock, like rocks, in the area of the disappearances. Super weird. Now, this is so good. So there's 3 stories that caught my attention. Okay, I picked 3 because they're kind of like go through the spectrum of it. Because sometimes people are found, sometimes they're not. In the first case, no. Sometimes when I tell people these stories, people are like, "Oh wait, well they're." Like I said before, anyone goes into the woods, they're gonna go missing if they don't know what they're doing. Blah blah blah. But he has a whole book dedicated to hunters, people that are like seasoned hunters that have gone into the woods their whole lives, for decades, hunting in the same area. Maybe it's their land, and they know the land very, very well. So, so that's what made it even weirder for people. It's kind of obvious for people that don't know what they're doing. They're just going out to the forest and then they get lost. But it's another thing whenever people that are actually used to doing this and going out and avid outdoors people go missing. The first one we'll talk about is his name is Bart Schuyler. I hope I don't mess that up. He was 49 years old. It happened in September 14th, 2004. This and happened in the Yucatan territory. Now, this guy was a really good outdoorsman. He actually got a master's in wildlife biology. He was an expert on grizzly bears. He started working with the grizzly bear unit. He had all this education. He had all this experience. So one day he decided to go out, I guess, camping, hunting, and he got dropped off in this area by a pilot. He took a plane, if I'm not mistaken. He was dropped off. The pilot was told to come back 4 days later. Well, the pilot did. When the pilot landed, he went to the campsite and he saw that Bart's tent was completely knocked over. So he started calling his name, and to no avail. Bart never came out. The the pilot said that he began to get a weird feeling, so he decided to leave and to go get reinforcements. So he came back with some wildlife specialist and some sort of law enforcement, and they looked and they searched. Now they found his bag, and they found his bow and arrows next to a tree. And then, unfortunately, a little farther away, they found his pants, and they found a skull with missing 2 teeth. The law enforcement, the search party said, chalked it up as a bear attack. But the wildlife people that were there, I guess there were other park rangers, I'm not sure, that they were really savvy in, like, bear attacks and stuff like that. They said it didn't look like a bear attack because there was no drag marks, there was no sign of a struggle, the pants weren't torn, there wasn't massive blood everywhere, and they actually looked through bear scat, and if you don't know what bear scat is like bear poop. They took samples of the bear scat to see if they could find any traces of human remains or any kind of like clothing, and they found nothing in that bear scat. But the coroner did say that the skull had like bite marks and puncture wounds, but he said they did not belong to a bear. They don't know what animal did that to him. So unfortunately, so super crazy. Like that's nuts. You know, they don't know what happened to him. They just know he was attacked by something. Now, story number two. Hold on. The other story we're going to talk about is the disappearance of Dennis Martin. Now, has to do with a 6-year-old kid. It happened in 1969, if I'm not mistaken, during Father's Day, on Father's Day weekend. So, him and his family went out to the Smoky Mountains, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, the Great Smoky Mountains to go like camping. It was like a tradition. And they're having the time of their life. Everything was great. And their family found another family with kids around the same age. So they asked if they could play hide and go seek. The dad was like, yeah, go right ahead. So he sat down and they watched him play hide and go seek. And he saw his son, Dennis, go into the shrub to go hide. So once the game was over, all the kids came out of their hiding places except for Dennis Martin. And the dad didn't get scared because he knew exactly where he was at. He was, within these bushes. He waited about 5 minutes. He went to go check on him, and his son wasn't there. He panicked, so he went running down a trail that was behind the shrubs. He ran for about 2 miles before he realized that his son couldn't have gone this far by himself. No sign at all of him. He turns around and gets help, and that's when they call the national park ranger, or the park ranger. They found nothing. Crazy thing is that after it happened, they had to stop the search because this torrential rain came down, and then the second day there was a heavy mist that just enveloped the forest, so they weren't able to do the search party for about 2 days, which is crazy. Which is part of those parameters that it falls into. Now, here's another scary part of the story. About 5 miles away from where he disappeared, there was this family called the Key family. They were out in the same area, like I said, about 5 miles away, and their son, or they heard like this scream. So the son saw what he thought was a bear, like running up the mountain. And the rest of the family did notice, and they're like, "Oh, that's not a bear. That looks like a guy because he's running on 2 feet." But it was upwards, so it was kind of weird. But what they could, from where they were at, they could see that there was something draped around his shoulder, and it was the same color of the clothes that matched little Dennis's what he was wearing that day. So they don't know what it was. They don't know who it was. They reported it, but it never went anywhere. First, because of the torrential rains and the mist, but also they just didn't know who it was, or if it wasn't related. You know what I mean? But his father, Dennis Martin's father, he does believe that he was kidnapped from somebody or something. But that sighting for the Key family did confirm his suspicion that someone or something took him. Super sad. They never found him. Here, let me take a break. I bought 2 because I'm running out of drink. This is watermelon, so so bad for me. Hold on, please. Anyways, the next story is about a guy, 24 years old. His name is Stephen Kubacki. It happened in 1977. Now, this guy was cross-country skiing near Lake Michigan. And what happened was that he was cross-country skiing and doing this thing the way, they do. I don't do that. It's too much cardio for me. But he ended up going to the edge of the lake. Now, the crazy thing was that he remembers that he got tired, so he took a rest. It was snowing, right? So he took off his skis, sat down, and then he got up. But when he got up, he noticed that the snow had wiped out his tracks, or they were missing. So he just went walking. He got lost because he didn't know which way he came from, because there was no indication because his tracks were gone. So what happened was he started walking. The last thing he remembers is that he was really cold and really exhausted, and then he blacked out. The guy blacked out, and he woke up in a grassy field. Springtime, okay? He woke up wearing clothes that weren't his. Next to him was a backpack with glasses and shoes and a map or something like that. They weren't his either. He had no idea who he was. He was in the middle of a forest. So he started walking and he found a town. I think it was Pittsfield, Massachusetts. And because he walked into town, he asked someone, hey, where am I at? They're like, oh, you're in Massachusetts. He's like, oh my gosh. So that was 700 miles from where he disappeared or where he remembers being last. He remembered he had family in that town. He went to his aunt's house. His aunt was freaking out because they thought he was dead. They hugged him and they were like, oh my gosh, where have you been? You've been gone for like 14 months. And he said he had no memory of where he was at. All that he blacked out and woke up in a grassy field in the middle of a forest. He later found out that when they went looking for him, they thought he had died because they found the tracks where it led up to the lake where he sat down and they found his skis, but they never found tracks leaving the lake. So they thought he went straight to the lake and maybe just drowned or whatever. But as you recall before, that when he got up, there were no tracks. He had no idea where he was at. So super crazy. He doesn't know where he's at. To this day, he has no memory of what happened during that time. He did write a book later on because he was like educated and stuff like that. I believe he became a professor and wrote a book about like alternate dimensions or something like that. Super crazy. But yeah, anyways, those are the stories, guys. I finished all my tacos. Like, oh my god, it was done. So, anyways, I hope you enjoyed this, guys. This is really fun for me. This subject is really crazy. This phenomenon, it scares. It is fun to look into, but it's really scary. If you have any like questions about it, I encourage you to go to the website. I'll leave all the information for David Pilates, like his website, the actual website for Missing 411, the links to the books. This is not a sponsored video at all for his books or anything like that. I just thought I'd try something new, do a mukbang, talk about something I like to talk about. And two good things I'm good at, guys, is eating and talking. So whatever, let's put them together, see what happens. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed it, guys. If you like it, please leave a thumbs up. Leave a comment below. If you heard about these stories or know any other stories like that, leave them below. And if you have any other topics you want me to cover or talk about, guys, let me know. Leave it at the bottom, okay? I love you guys so much. Thank you so much for watching. You have an awesome day. As always, guys, keep praying, keep fighting, and definitely keep moving, all right? God bless. Bye.